When trying to lower the bar on a back squat, it's hard to adjust my left arm because it's stiff. I end up doing high bar. Recommendations or corrective exercises for my arm so I can lower the bar.
So I want to make sure that I understand the question correctly, okay? So you just tell me if I'm wrong as I start to repeat this. We got somebody who is squatting high bar, essentially because he doesn't have the shoulder mobility to get the bar lower.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay.
Specifically because of his left arm.
Right, because something's going, it's always one shoulder or the other, and that's why it ends up looking helicoptered. You know, when you have somebody that's dealing with that sort of thing where they're trying to progressively get the bar in a better position. But
compensating.
Yeah, so the one side has great mobility and one side's injured and doesn't, and it ends up looking like the whole time. So my advice would be to do the mobility work that you need to get that bar where you need it, but where you need it is really the question, because I think I see most people putting the bar lower than is benefiting them too, and that's causing a lot of issues. There's obviously a lot of factors in terms of limb length and individual differences and so forth.
Muscle mass.
Yeah, anatomical variance. Like one person's not the same as the other, but most people, and when I say most, I'm looking at like 90% range, are somewhere in the mid-bar range, like in mid, between high and low, in terms of what'll be beneficial. And I see a lot of people putting the bar lower than they need to, and that's one of the corrections I'm making that's very common, is bringing the bar up a couple inches. And a matter of an inch in terms of your shoulders and elbows and the amount of the ramifications that are going to affect the rest of your training to get the bar an inch lower, it's actually gotten to the point where I have to ask myself, is it worth having this person fight to get the bar that much lower, considering how much of an impact is it going to have on their squat? And then I figure how much of an impact is going to have on their bench having that bar lower, because it always does cost. To have the bar a little bit lower ends up affecting the bench in a negative way.
Training.
And it ends up affecting the pull. Yeah, so you have to ask yourself, like, what's the best answer for the total? However, when you have a situation like what he's talking about, where one shoulder, doesn't have a range of motion that's necessary to get the bar where you want it, and have it stable and have it be where it's not twisting on the squat, that needs to be addressed. So I would have them either talk to a PT or do whatever needs to be done in terms of mobility stuff, assuming there's no like structural impingement there.
Yeah.
To get that shoulder in the position they need to. And then with the way that we train, we're easily able to hammer this stuff out, because you have the bar on your back every week. You're always doing that same kind of bar. We're always squatting with a squat bar. So we're really drilling that. We're really able to get into a position that's effective and learn to cue the upper back effectively. Excuse me. Drank too much soda. Learn to cue the upper back effectively so that you can keep the bar where you need it without having it like super high, super low, and stabilizing that bar is a big thing too. A cue I see that seems to be pretty popular is wrecking people left and right. The idea of pulling the bar down. And the idea of pulling the bar down onto your back while you're squatting can be devastating, depending on the position. So if you're already in a position where you've maxed out your shoulder mobility, your elbow mobility, in terms of how much flexion you have at the elbow, and you're actively pulling down on that bar on the descent, on the squat, during the reversal, there's always some flex, even in a squat bar. But God forbid you're using a gym bar. So think about that flex, and you're pulling down and helping with that flex. Well, that flex is going to return on the reversal, and you're essentially doing a max effort 1 inch negative on your elbows and shoulders every rep, every time you take a heavy squat. And for raw lifters that tend to move a lot faster, that's even more of a consideration. So another big thing there is to make sure that people are wearing wrist wraps when they squat, because that can help a lot with the elbows, believe it or not, the elbows and the shoulders, because the weakest link in the chain to hold that bar on your back is your wrists, and the elbows and shoulders tend to try to accommodate, try to protect the wrist, and it causes more issues with elbow tendonitis and stuff like that, which affects the bench press as well. And then the shoulder stress and all the other stuff affects the bench press. So I try and try to keep a holistic view of like all three lifts, like look at the total. Like I don't just ask myself, what is this change gonna affect on this lift? I ask myself, what is this change going to affect on this lifter's total?
Yeah.
Because sometimes one thing will be positive in one lift, but when I look at the big picture, it's actually a bad move. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So something to think about there, just a little additional stuff on top of the bar placement, but definitely address the shoulder mobility any way you're able. And you don't want that bar twisting. So.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Some people will try to force an extra 10 pounds on the squat. Meanwhile, sacrifice 40 pounds off their bench.
In the meat, too.
You know,
like, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. And the meat's
right.
critical.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law.